Hi, I'm Shalena Oxley-Butler. I'm a native Californian, born and raised in Sacramento. I did my undergraduate at Berkeley, and my major was African American Studies, and my minor was film. I worked in the Bay Area for, I don't know, about 7 or 8 years after graduation, and then I worked primarily in finance and some client relations jobs because the Bay Area was very different back then. And then I moved to Los Angeles and went to grad school at AFI. There I studied producing, and I really enjoyed my time there because it was all about creation and learning. And it was sort of, as a Northern Californian, it was a way to move to Los Angeles with sort of some built-in community, because I did have friends from Northern California and Berkeley that were from LA originally, but you know, as life continues on its path, you know, people are often scattered. So I wanted to end up in LA and kind of have more of a purpose and a job. And I graduated from AFI in 2007, and that was sort of during the writer's strike, or the beginning of the writer's strike. And that's how I found my way into visual effects. One of my producing fellows, who was a good friend of mine at the time, Sean, he was like, "Hey, do you want a PA?" And I was like, "How much?" And I was like, $200 a day. Yeah, let's do this. I need to work. So I went to work as a VFX PA on a Disney Channel feature film. I think it was Wizards of Waverly Place. That was the first one. Yeah, that was the first one I worked on. And it was great because Shotgun was new. So it was still sort of in beta, but being rolled out. And I just started to really find my place in that world because I've always been very much into science fiction and fantasy from all different ages. And this was sort of a dream field for me. You know, it was like, I knew eventually I'd probably want to produce. I figured that this was a good way to learn something, you know, like even if it just remained a day job of sorts, it was a great, you know, opportunity to figure out how the sausage was made from a completely different angle than just from like a line production script, you know, sort of format. Because you realize as you move along in visual effects, especially nowadays, that visual effects is now involved from, you know, like the development component of something all the way through post, and to actually understand something that not a lot of people do, and to be a sort of beacon, or to be helpful in that way to my other, you know, friends and colleagues that are in the field, was just a really wonderful boon for me. I met my husband at my first VFX job, so that was cool. I didn't know it at the time, but he was there, and it's been really good to me. I mean, they were, I guess surprised because I was a PA, and they're like, "Wow, you're really picking up this stuff quickly." And I'm like, "Yeah, I have a master's degree." You know, it's like, I'm not 21, I'm like 31 or whatever I was at the time. You know, it's just like, yeah, I've had a job for a long time. So I don't say that with any hubris, but it was just kind of funny when people are surprised that, you know, anyone is competent. So I moved up rather quickly from PA to coordinator at the same company. And then I started to work on other like bigger features. And then, so I worked at Engine Room, and then I worked independently as a coordinator on like Piranha 3D. And then I went to Zoic for the first time as a coordinator and worked in their features department. And that's when one of my dear friends, Rocco Pascinino, we were kind of slow at the moment. And I was like, "Can you teach me how to do something else? You know, like, do you need me to break down anything? Can I read some scripts?" And he's like, "Oh, I'll teach you how to break down scripts. I've got like a stack of them here." And I was like, "Great." And then I was like, I love doing this. Like, I love like visualizing everything and then being able to speak to people coherently about it and the ramifications of whatever's in that budget based on what the production budget is. And from that job, I became a coordinating producer at Pixamundo Burbank, which was open at the time. And I worked my way up to just straight producing. And I've met so many, like I said before, I've just met so many wonderful people along the way. And I've had some really great career advancement. And I really feel like this type of position for me, as a low-key sort of extrovert, I can bridge the gap between a lot of like artist introversion, supervision, and sort of like have the collective idea without just being sort of like, you know, a numbers orient. Like I think a lot of people think producers only deal with numbers. And I feel like that has changed a lot. And I think that, you know, it's like being able to receive the artist's respect, the supervisor's respect, my higher ups if I was at a facility, or my higher ups at a studio respect, and being able to speak to everybody in the language that they best understand has helped me, I think, in all aspects of my life. And I really, you know, I really feel thankful for that. Don't be comparative. I think as an only child and a type A personality, I'm naturally competitive with myself. But what I've realized is being comparative is just the end that nobody hopes for, because it does nothing but make you feel bad. Everybody's on their own journey. Like, don't hate on people. Like, I was never a big hater, but it's just like, why do they have this and why don't I have this, and I'm just as smart, or how does this person come up, and why can't, you know? And I think it just is a lot of that negative mind chatter.
Yeah.
Because nobody does anything by themselves. Everybody is given the opportunities that they're given, and some people succeed in those opportunities, and some people, you know, I wouldn't even say fail, just don't thrive in them, perhaps. Yeah. And for me, I think once I sort of realized that my time and my blessings, or whatever you want to call them, would come when I was ready for them. And it's also about making choices, because as you know, I'm sure it's like sometimes you have more than one option and you're like, well, this one's more this, but I really like working with so-and-so. And how do you make those choices and not feel hamstrung by them? And sometimes you just have to choose a path. And whatever method you use to choose that path, I think the doors open up for you on that path to where you need to get to. So I think that's one of the main takeaways. Art and beauty, and that people, I think, care so much about the beauty of like creation. I like working with people that are passionate, because I'm very passionate and I don't believe in inferior product. It's like you do the best with what you have, right? You know, and if you do your best, you know, it's like you never really have to explain. You're like, I did my best with the resources, the time, the talent, like whatever, and this is, you know, and most of the time it really works out well. So I would say that inspires me on a professional level, also on a personal level. I think, you know, the beauty in art and nature, like I just love being outdoors, especially when I'm stuck inside in front of my box so much. I think it's just like getting out there and seeing that what so many people are trying to recreate is what already exists. Yeah. And that's what we're expounding upon. And I find that very inspiring. And also, lastly, what I find inspiring is the evolution of human relationships. I think that, you know, the entertainment industry in general can be really tough. And I think there's sometimes not a lot of common sense when certain decisions are made. And I think for people that are sort of like linear, I think sometimes it can be like, why would you make that decision? That doesn't make any sense. But I think that when people trust each other and when people respect each other, you can overcome a lot of that, and you can really have partnerships that thrive and have the support that you need in an already stressful job, to succeed and feel good about the work.